I'm making this video because I feel like it's really important for people to know where to start cubing, because this is a hobby that I don't see a lot of people doing. It's pretty rare around me at least, and I just wanted to make this video to help people figure out where to start. Obviously, the first thing you're going to need is some sort of cube. As long as you have some cube that isn't completely horrible and that works, that's great. It doesn't have to be magnetic at first or anything fancy, but you're going to want to learn how to solve it. Now, something that you probably see before you go to solve it, or if you've ever seen people solve Rubik's Cube, you're probably seeing them turn it really fast, or do something along these lines. Don't worry about that at all yet. Moving on to the tools and things that you're going to need to actually start speed cubing, first of all, you need a cube of some sort. You might be wondering, well, why do I need a special cube to do this? First of all, this typical Rubik's Cube cannot corner cut. For example, if you don't know what corner cutting is, it's where if you have the cube like this, you can still make a turn, even if it's not completely aligned. So on a normal Rubik's Cube, on a really old one, or just any really bad ones in general, this is going to be really hard for it to turn. But on a speed cube, you can just do that. Another advantage of having a speed cube is it has magnets, so it will typically stay in this shape, versus if I move this like this, where I go to do a turn and I go a little bit past, it's not just going to stop where I need it to. There's more of a stopping point that you're going to feel. It means they'll help you make your turns a lot faster and more accurate. Just a disclaimer, your hardware is not going to make you crazy faster. For example, if you have a speed cube that's already really good, and you think that getting a different speed cube is going to make you somewhat faster, it might make you a second or two faster and make your turns more fluid, but it's not going to increase your time by like 10 seconds. With the method that I posted in the description of that video, once you learn how to solve it, this type of cube will do you. I would recommend, until you've mastered beginner's method, you really don't need a speed cube, and a cube like this will work just fine. Moving on to seeing how fast your times are, you are going to need a timer. These things are going to allow you to time your solves, just how a timer would do, and if you don't have a timer, how are you going to know how fast you're going? This timer is the GAN Halo timer. This thing is super nice. It's basically just a fancy version of a normal timer. Put both your hands down, it does your time, and then when you put both your hands back, it stops like that. So, in order to pause this, you have to have both your hands off the cube, which is nice, and this is the kind of thing that they'll use at competitions. Now, this is an amazing website that I've used for a while. No the ads, I'm not paying for those or anything, but it's called CS Timer. It's actually a website that you can access, and it is super easy to use. To start the timer, all you have to do is press the space bar. You have to hold the space bar until the light turns green, which I'll show in a second. So I'm holding the space bar down, and once it turns green, you're free to let go, and it starts the timer. And all you have to do to stop it is press the space bar again, and you don't have to hold it or anything, and then it will stop it, and it will show you your time. Over here, there are some averages and things like that, but let me show you some tips to make this look better, because this is super ugly. Sorry I'm not screen recording, I'm just trying to do this the easy way. So over here, you can see my mouse up here in the very top left. You hover over the little gear and it'll say option, and now there are a bunch of different things that pop up. So if you want to make this look nicer, you can click on color. And so obviously if you're going to change your background to black and you have your font color as black, you're not going to see anything. So I recommend changing your font color to white, just like that, and click off of it. Make your background color black. So now you're going to start making these things darker, make them a little bit nicer. So you have your button color, so that's like a gray, set your light color is white. You can just change these things to white and black, but then once you've done this sort of, click on this, and now it's not that weird super ugly color. Let's say you're getting sort of confident with the beginner's method that you learned in the video in the description. Maybe you already have a speed cube, maybe you don't. Maybe you're noticing that this could be slowing you down a little bit, or your turns are kind of choppy on this. You're probably noticing that you're needing a better cube now, and that might be slowing you down just a tiny bit. So I'm about to recommend some speed cubes that worked really well for me, and that I will recommend different price ranges that might work well for you as well. The best budget cube that if you're not willing to spend a whole lot of money on a speed cube, this is perfect. This is the RS3M 2020, which I will leave a link to in the description. This is only $9, and it's cheaper than whatever Rubik's Cube you probably bought before. This does have some nice features, as it is adjustable, and it's pretty nice to turn on. For $9, you also get some pretty nice corner cutting. I'm messing it up, but it is a really good cube. If you want to spend a little bit more money, this is around $20. The Guhong Pro is also an amazing choice. This thing comes in about 3 different sizes. I think you can get 54 millimeters, which is the smallest, and I think 56, which is the biggest. And there's 55. I chose the smallest kind because I wanted to try a smaller kind. If you're ever interested in trying to solve it one-handed, having a small cube can be pretty helpful. Now, the nice thing about this one is that it not only has magnets and is magnetic, like the previous cube. It looks a little bit dirty here because there's lubricant. But it also has a magnetic core, which you can see on the box. I will try to show an example of what this does. I have a lot of lube in it, so you can kind of see that I'm pushing it away. You can see how it's moving back to its shape. That magnetic core is helping it do that, which can be very helpful during fast solves. Now, my personal favorite, the Moyu WRM maglev. I think this was also in 2020, I'm not exactly sure. It has purple internals. It has adjustable magnets, so you can adjust these to be however strong or weak you want them. It's also adjustable, exactly like the first cube inside, except it's a maglev, so instead of having springs to keep the cube pieces together, it has little magnetic rings, which make less friction. So this is a faster cube, but it is very, very fast. And for $30, I love this thing. I did make a video on this cube, and I'll put that in the description if you want to learn more about it. Now, moving on to some lubes. I also made a video about lubes, which I will link in the description. It's just a list of my favorites. I don't want to make this video crazy long, because otherwise no one's going to watch it. But this is DNM37. This is a water-based lube that will make your cubes faster. So if you get a cube, like a normal Rubik's Cube, and it feels kind of sandy or dry, or it's making a lot of noise, like rubbing noise, lube is going to make your cube feel faster, smoother, more controlled, or different things based on the lube. In the description of the website, which I'll link of where I get my lubes, which is the Cubicle, they tell you a description of what the lube does. But you would just take the cap off like this, and then pop a drop right into your cube like that. Move it around a little bit. This one takes effect super fast. And now your cube's gonna feel faster or smoother, but it's good to reapply lube every few months or so if you're using your cube a lot. The biggest thing is I made a video on how to apply lube and how to clean a cube. If the lube's been sitting in there for a while, do not put too much lube in your cubes. You will ruin your cubes and it'll feel all gummy and mushy, and you do not want that. Let's say maybe you're starting to get some good times on beginner's method and you're feeling kind of stuck and you can't get any faster. Here are some websites to learn CFOP, which I'll also leave a link to in the description, which is a bit of a trickier method that takes more memorizing algorithms and things like that, which in beginner's method you already did a little bit of, but there's a lot of it in CFOP. This website is SpeedCubeDB, which I will again link in the description. There are a bunch of different algorithms for different types of cubes. What you can do is click on 3x3, and now there are a bunch of different things. You can also learn beginner method algorithms, which is probably what you already learned if you followed that one video in the description. And there are different steps of CFOP. I will link a video explaining more steps of CFOP, and then in here it will make more sense. Right now it does not make a lot of sense, but the things that you're going to need for the most part are a few things from the beginner method: F2L, OLL, and PLL. I'm not going to make this sound super confusing, but there are a lot of things that you can do in here that have really good algorithms and videos to go with your algorithms to help you out. Before you switch over to CFOP, there are some things that you're going to want to know, like finger tricks. So you can see I'm turning this top layer with my finger, not my entire hand, or I'm turning stuff like this, so I'm turning the bottom layer, doing my other finger. I did not make a video on finger tricks, so I will link a video to that in the description, because I'm not super good at explaining things like that. There are some small things that when you're starting to switch over methods, my main tip is don't keep bad habits. And now an example of that is, I'm not going to show it right now, but there's an algorithm that I use, and just because it's easier, it's also slower, but I do it because it's easier. That's not good. Sometimes there might be an algorithm that's harder and faster. Pick the faster option. If it's really not working for you, you could stick to the other thing. But the main thing is don't always focus on how fast you're going. A lot of it is having better understanding of what's actually happening on your cube. The best thing that helps me improve on pretty much any aspect of the cube other than algorithms is go slowly. Take your time, do slow solves, don't go faster than you need to. You might be turning like 4 turns per second, you might be going really slow. That's gonna help you if you can see other things happening on the cube. That's all I have for this video. If you have any other questions or if you want other websites, please leave a comment. If this helps you, subscribe. I also have a bunch of other videos you can check out on my channel on other cubes. These can all be really helpful. Maybe they're helpful, maybe they're not. But there will be several links in the description helping you to get started. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Thank you.